Today, my worst nightmare happened. So I bought this fun shirt which had this cute little accessory on it, which actually isn't a fun accessory. It's a big exploding ink security tag that they just forgot to take off of my $50 shirt. So anyways, now I'm panicking because I'm too nervous to go back into the store and ask them to take it off. So I tried pulling it off with my teeth, but I didn't want the ink to explode on my face, staining me permanently blue like a Smurf. So I looked online and apparently you need to freeze the tag to get it off. So I went to go throw it in the freezer, and for some reason there was raw chicken in the freezer, and this isn't my house, this is an Airbnb. And then I put the shirt in the freezer and waited all night, and I was getting impatient, so I decided to just pull it out and grab 2 forks, a pizza cutter, some tongs, and some spoons. And I took the forks and jammed it in the tag, and it was not working. And I got mad, so I whipped it against the ground, and then I stomped on it, and then I grabbed a chair, and I used that, and then I tried some spoons, and it still didn't work. So I laid down on the ground until I realized I could microwave it. So I put it in for almost 10 minutes, and it started smelling a little spicy. So I took it out and used the forks again, and I got it off! And now I have the security tag, so if you want me to detonate it, subscribe, and maybe I will explode it out. Today I went to go see Billie Eilish at Coachella, but before she came on, there was this dude wearing a big sparkly onesie who opened for her that kept staring at me, and I was thinking to myself, what's up? Do you have a staring problem, buddy? But anyways, he did a little dancey dance thing, and Shrek was in the audience and seemed to love it. But his cameraman kept getting in the way and then turned to me, and the next thing I knew, rewind that. He put me on the big screen, and I freaked out and went behind the cameraman and started unplugging random cables from his camera, and it turned off the video on the screen. But anyways, then Billie Eilish came on and kept invading my personal space and staring at me, and I was like, do celebrities never get taught that staring is rude? Why are you yelling at me? But then she did her little dancey dance and left the stage, and I took a golf cart home from Coachella, and when I woke up the next morning, I checked my phone to see a DM from Billie herself asking if I was at her show with a winky face. And I replied, no, silly Billie, here's a restraining order, leave me alone. And I went back to bed. I can only fall asleep to loud noises, so tonight I played some mukbang videos on full volume. And I also tried blasting that one girl who goes in all of her songs, and I was about to go to sleep like a baby when I heard a banging at my door, and I realized it was probably my insane neighbor who was literally named Karen. But when I got up and walked down to the door, there was nothing but an envelope that said, use these. So I brought it inside and opened it up, and she had sent me her nasty, crusty, earwax-covered AirPods that smelled like Fritos. And at first I was like, this is a human rights violation, and I'm probably diseased now. Until I saw the opportunity to suit up in a hazmat suit and rinse the brain caca off of them so that they look new, and then I could sell them to someone in my neighborhood for a profit. So I made a listing for like $150, and this one dude said he would buy it if I could meet him by the nuclear waste runoff. So I Ubered over there, and when I got there, I saw a bunch of money just sitting under some leaves. Regardless, I just sprinkled the AirPods by it and then went home with $150 in like 4 different currencies. But it's okay, because I just ordered a bass-boosted speaker with the money from the AirPods. And when it comes, I'm gonna have a big old party, courtesy of Karen. So I was watching my local 7-Eleven burn down today when I saw a shirt or something in the bushes. And when I walked over, I saw it was a Walmart employee uniform that someone just left there. So I decided to try it on, even though it had a stain on it that looked like, milk. But that's when I got the idea to go to Walmart and see how long it would take them to notice that I don't work there. And I was just walking around in Walmart as a fellow employee. So the first thing I did was give myself a good employee discount on a few things I found. And then I was looking for something to do when I saw the phone for announcements just sitting there. And I was super nervous, but I picked it up and said, attention shoppers, everything is free for the next hour. And then I hung up and panicked and tried to find a getaway. And I saw the employees only area. So I went inside and it led me to an elevator, which eventually led me out the main entrance. And when I finally made it out of there, the security was outside with its flashing lights. So I quickly took off my uniform, threw it in the bushes, and ran. So I have a chunk of dry ice from buying human organs off the black market, but I was thinking, how do you even get rid of dry ice? Like, it doesn't melt because it's literally frozen air and it repels water, which means it's homophobic. Oh wait, I mean hydrophobic. Anyways, I'm clinically stupid, so I broke a piece in half and plopped it in my toilet to see what would happen. And it was making these fun little bubbles, so I filled the bathtub and grabbed the rest of it and threw it in some water to see what would happen. And anyways, that was a mistake because I filled the whole shower up with gases, and I remembered it's not frozen air, it's frozen CO2, and I was getting lightheaded and I wasn't trying to die. So I took the piece out and I brought it to the sink and I jammed it down the drain as best as I could so it would go away. And then I took a deep breath of relief until I looked down to see I was standing in a puddle of water, and boom, my pipes exploded. There was water spraying me everywhere in the face. Anyways, I may have caused a catastrophic water main failure in my whole neighborhood and flooded 102 buildings. So, I don't think the vegan chicken nuggets were worth it. I texted my crush that I love her and want a relationship, and I felt like throwing up until she replied with, I'm in Lisbon. And then she sent the, Portuguese flag, I think. I don't know, I'm not good at geometry. But anyways, I wanted to surprise her, so I booked the next ticket to Lisbon, Portugal. So I packed up my stuff and went to the airport, and it was a 30-hour journey, but it was in the name of love. And when I landed, I realized I should probably get her something as a gift, so I walked into a store and came across these very interesting frozen feet in the freezer section, and I thought, who would want to suck on feet? Oh, me. So I bought them and opened up the box and ate every last foot. And they tasted like strawberries. I don't know why I was expecting foot flavor. Not that that's what I wanted, but anyways, I got the bright idea to take all the popsicle sticks and make a little fun DIY bracelet out of them with hearts on it. So I did just that, and then the next day, I was gonna give my crush the bracelet. So I went to DM her and asked her to meet up and realized she said, I'm a lesbian. I'm in North Korea right now, because last week I was just making some delicious corn dog sushi in Japan, and before I could take a bite, I heard the nuclear missile warnings go off because Kim Jong-un was having a hissy fit. I spilled my corn dog sushi because of him, but as I was hiding underneath the table about to be vaporized, that's when I realized North Korea is only 2 hours away, so I bought a Kit Kat because Kim Jong-un needs to take a freaking break, and a ticket to North Korea, so I can tell him to stop doing that. Anyways, I went to the airport, and the plane was either on fire or someone just had a vape, but anyways, once I landed, I immediately got on this bus, and the soldiers boarded the bus and checked my documents, and then I was sent through this underground tunnel underneath the border, and then I emerged at Kim Jong-un's palace, and it was pretty cute for a warmongering dictator. I walked up to the gate and gave it a good old knock, but no one was home, I guess, so I was just walking around when I heard a security alarm go off, and I scrambled to find a place to hide, so I ducked into this cubbyhole and hid there until they were gone, and then I snuck out into the bushes and spent hours trying to return to civilization, and I ate some blueberries that weren't blueberries, but hours later I finally found my way out and decided to give up on world peace and just eat the Kit Kat because I was hungry. Sorry, Kimmy. Stop. I was laying in the grass trying to get a bee to bite me so that I could become one of them and pee honey and then sell it and become rich. But all I got was a lump and an allergic reaction. But as my throat was closing up, a genius idea came to my head. People buy things that belong to celebrities all the time, and the one time I sold my own hair, I got $20. Now, I don't want to go bald, but what I can do is scam. So I decided to sell Zendaya burps. I grabbed every container in my house and burped in hundreds of containers, and in an hour, I had millions of dollars worth of product. I set up my website and the burps were flying off the shelves. I finally had enough money to buy my dream purchase on Amazon. So I ordered some uranium, hoping there would be enough to build my own nuclear power plant so that I could live on a deserted island forever. I was waiting and waiting for my package, and I started getting worried. My mailman always loses my packages, and uranium starts to decay if it's not held carefully. And eventually it'll Okay, so I don't think I'm going to the island. I use my mom's Facebook Marketplace for buying clothes and organs sometimes, but today I saw that Taylor Swift's private jet was selling for $1,000 because she got in trouble for flying them every single day or something. But I thought, I'll take it, and I messaged them and hurried to the bank to take out $1,000 in cash. And I brought it to the address, which was her own airline hangar, and when I arrived, I saw the plane, and I took a bunch of pictures in front of it and then went through her makeshift security. But when I got there was a little party going on, and I was like, oh, fun, and I participated in the party, but then it got a little rowdy, and I asked, can I own this plane still? And it turns out some rappers bought it before I could and started filming a music video in it. But I was still bitter from being outbid, so I pulled the emergency latch and breached the airlock, and now I have the whole plane to myself. Hey guys, just got first class, and they gave us free orange juice, free a little mask that come down and put you to sleep. Last weekend, me and some pals and Mr. Beast gathered around to sacrifice a giant minion for fun. But after we killed it to death, I was like, now what? And Mr. Beast said,
Dave is finally dead. So is this stupid trend.
But I thought to myself, that's kind of awkward because to me it wasn't a trend, and I got a giant Minion tramp stamp tattoo a few days before. And I was so embarrassed that I got in my car and drove around looking for a laser tattoo removal place, but the only one that I could find in my town went out of business when they accidentally cut someone's leg off. And it also looks like the back room, so I ordered a tattoo laser gun off of Shein. And when it arrived a week later, I got ready to use it after accidentally burning a hole in my eyeball, but I reached behind me and started burning it off, and it smelled like burnt chicken for about an hour. But I thought it was essentially gone until I was at Walmart a week later when I saw this lady drop her toe fungus medication, and when I bent down to pick it up for her, the scar popped out and she screamed and thought I had monkeypox, and I was like, shut the hell up, warty ass bitch. Let's see those toes you need to scream for. Today I woke up on Mr. Beast's 35-foot tall inflatable minion that I tried blowing up the night before with my lung, but my asthma kicked in and I passed out. But anyways, last week he was like,
Hey Ben, can you make me the world's largest minion?
But I hung up on him because he's not despicable enough. He's like the opposite. He's like philanthropicable. But he called back and I was like, he really is despicable. And I agreed to do it, and ever since then I have been making sure this minion is perfect. So I got the whole factory to line up and take turns blowing it up so I wouldn't be the only one passing out. And I tried to fashion together a giant suit to fit him, but I ran out of fabric But finally he was ready. The only problem was when I opened my trunk and tried to fit his body in it, which usually it can fit a few of those, he didn't fit. So I had to ship him in a truck, but I wanted to be along for the journey, so I snuck in while the back door was open and rode in that boy across America until we finally stopped, and I opened the door and... Hey.
Hey.
I got your minion.
Just put it over
Okay. I was walking in the store when I passed a window with a really cool design in it. And I searched up what that design is, and it's something called boulet holés. Anyways, I made it to 7-Eleven and someone was stealing. Hello? But anyways, I was about to buy 8 bottles of 5-hour energy so I can stay up for a week straight. When I reached into my pocket and my wallet was gone. I told the clerk I couldn't pay and then I panicked and I left. And I was like, where's my wallet? I must have dropped it while I was walking here or something. And that's when I got a notification from my bank saying that someone was making purchases on my card. I ran home to see what they were buying and I opened my laptop and I saw that they had bought 27 boats. And I felt so impressed. I'm Special Agent Ben Almeida and welcome back to Catching a Thief. The night before, I placed the wallet right in the view of a camera I had set up. And I followed the thief home using a Bluetooth chip hidden in the wallet. And as I approached the house, I got ready with my flashlight to bust in there. But that's when I got tackled and put in handcuffs. I looked up and the thief turned out to be a different FBI agent. Hello, my name is Ben Almeida and this is Catching an FBI Agent Catching the Thief. Today I spent 9 hours painting Doja Cat and it turned out so good that I decided to DM it to her. And she actually replied by saying it's terrific. And I was just in disbelief that she replied, so I screenshotted it as fast as I could and posted it on my story to show all my friends. But after she saw it, she DM'd me a picture of the front of my house and my birth certificate. And when I said, yes, it is Doja Cat, I saw she mentioned me in her story. And when I looked, she had posted both of those images on her story. And I was like, Doja, why would you do that? And then she went live and was very angry at me. And the next thing I knew, there were people banging on my front door. And then one of them threw something through my window. And I had no clue what it is, so I slowly approached it. But when I got too close, it started to fill my room with gas. And I heard on her live stream, and she said,
"Careful of the tear gas, you're getting gas."
So I grabbed what I could and ran out of my house and saw a flyer on the telephone pole for witness protection. And I called them and had to throw away my passport and credit cards, and now I'm flying to New Zealand to start a new life. Thanks, Doja Cat. I went to Universal Studios today, but when I got to security, I remembered I had a can of spray cheese in my bag, which you can't bring into parks or anything because it's an aerosol, and they're probably scared that I'm gonna, I don't know, like burn down the Minions ride. So I took my bag and went into the alleyway and wrapped it in the label for my Febreze can that I use as deodorant from time to time. And guess what, baby? They never found it when they searched my bag. So anyways, I went on the Minions ride, and as much as I would have loved to set it on fire until it's nothing but smoldering ruins, I had to settle for beating up the Minion in the gift shop. But anyways, after the ride, I realized I was pretty hungry, and I wasn't gonna spend $20 on Harry Potter butterbeer when I can just put butter in my beer myself. So I snuck into the employees-only area to eat my spray cheese, and I thought I grabbed the right can when I sprayed it in my mouth, but I accidentally grabbed the Febreze and basically blinded myself. So I asked Siri, call poison control, and she was like,
calling animal control.
And I was like, what? No! And animal control was like, hello, yes, what are you reporting? And I was like, my eyes are burning, and they said, your ass is burning? We recommend Pepto-Bismol. And I knew they weren't gonna help, so I hung up and I made the hard decision to flush my eyes with... Today, I was in the drive-thru line at Starbucks trying to get the Donald Trump drink, which is just a cup that's full of sad old man tears. But as I pulled up, I was feeling generous, and I told the barista, can I pay for the order in front of me? And the Starbucks employee said,
that's so sweet. Let me bring that up for you. Would you like anything else?
So I said, can I get a cake pop and a white hot chocolate? But that's when the barista said,
that comes up to $94.24.
I stopped and said, what in the star did you say? And the barista told me they ordered 7 drinks, 4 pastries, and a travel mug. So I told the barista, hey, I'm actually just gonna get the cake pop. But the person ahead of me had already driven away, and they told me I had to pay or the cops would be called. So I pulled up and paid, but I wasn't gonna stop until I got my travel mug. I followed the car until it parked, and I approached the window, and I said, give me the mug! Anyways, look at my $94 Starbucks travel mug that I had to pry out of a soccer mom's hands. Today I went to the fair so I could try and go on that tilt-a-whirl ride that was about to collapse in this TikTok that I saw. But when we were standing in line for it, I noticed some sparks fly as it flew by, and a literal screw had been sharded out. And I was like, well, the Juice WRLD concert's gonna be really good after this. Anyways, we got on and found our seats and put the thing on, and I don't know what they did, but they had cranked that speed up to the max. And you know what? It surprisingly didn't fall apart, but instead I just passed out like a little infant that can't stay awake. Anyways, I got off and was feeling kind of hungry, and I saw the cotton candy booth, so I went over to it, and they gave some to us for free because they were so nice. And I was enjoying my cotton candy when my friends dragged me onto this swingy thingy, so I reluctantly gave the dude my ticket and found my seat. And once it started moving, I realized that cotton candy and motion sickness is a terrible mix. They were swinging our butts around this thing like no tomorrow, baby, because I threw up, and it sprayed on a worker. and I'm never allowed back. Today, I hiked up to the Hollywood sign, but there was a fence blocking access to it, so I committed a little bit of a crime, and I managed to get through, and I changed the sign to Holly Boob by covering the W with a B for boob. Anyways, I was walking down, and I saw helicopters flying overhead, and I was getting kind of nervous, so I ran into the bushes, and I hid from them, because apparently I was on government property, or whatever that means. Anyways, I got an emergency alert on my phone, and when I checked, it said that there was a $2 million bounty for a 6-foot man in green. So I realized I'll have to live off the grid forever in these bushes, with my only food being Lady Gaga Oreos that I brought as a snack. Anyways, I managed to sneak away to a swamp, but I heard the choppers getting closer. But that's when I looked in the distance and saw none other than a 6-foot man in green in the swamp. I had to act fast, so I grabbed my phone and I dialed 911 and I ratted on Shrek. Anyways, Shrek was arrested and charged with 8 felonies, and I got a $2 million reward. So now I'm rich and I bought a mansion. Thanks, Shrek. I was sitting on the floor eating a Rice Krispie snack when my dad randomly came home with a dog. We don't have a dog. We have a cat. So what is that? And I said, did you just buy a dog? And my dad told me he just bought a dog. So, I guess I have a dog at my dad's house now. And I went to go pet it, but it keeps running away from me and looking at me like I'm a demon, which I am. But it still made me sad, and I was sitting around trying to figure out how to become friends with this baby dog. And then I realized I could probably give it something, like a treat. So I got off my butt and I went upstairs and I looked in the pantry and found some dog bones. I opened up the package and grabbed a bone, and then I slowly approached him and placed it on the mat. But then my dad's cat Luna got in the way. Anyways, I gave it another bone and it bit my hand so hard like 3 fingers fell off. I had to call an ambulance. Just kidding. He let me come near, and when I touched him, he twitched and it scared me a little bit. But then he let me pet him. And now we're almost besties, and I took him on a little walk and took some cute pictures with him. So if you want to see more of Sammy, I posted the pics on my Instagram at Ben of the Week. Okay, bye.
I wanted to go to Chili's today, but it was burning down. So instead, I went to go get sushi. But it was one of those places where it comes on a conveyor belt and you can take what you want, except for this piece of shrimp that refused to cooperate and wouldn't release. But it's okay, because they also have a screen you can order from. So I ordered myself some crispy rice, and it zoomed by faster than I could say, "No, officer, I had nothing to do with the Chili's burning down." Anyways, then I saw these nasty cubes that look like Minecraft gravel, and I lost my appetite. So I put all the plates down the chute since I was done with them, when I wondered what's actually in there. And it said, please don't insert hands or objects, but what did I do? Hit record on my phone and insert it into the slot, which was really smart because then I dropped it down into the chute and had to call over a waiter in shame, and he told me that non-plate items go out the garbage chute around back. So I went down this creepy corridor and finally found it, and when I grabbed my phone and sat down to check what footage I had recorded, I saw... I was getting my teeth fixed today, because last week I tried one of those Bang energy drinks that all those TikTokers promote, and it tasted like urine and made my teeth fall out. Anyways, as I was sitting there, I accidentally popped out the ushy gushy thing that was sitting at the back of my throat, and it fell on the floor, so I picked it up off the ground and popped it back in without wiping it off or anything. But then when I got home, I felt something sharp in my mouth and noticed I had a fingernail glued to my tooth, and I flipped my shit. I was so grossed out, and I tried ripping it off, but it was stuck on. And then I tried using a fork to scrape it off, but that didn't work. And then I tried playing dentist, and all I did was knock out another tooth. And then I realized I need something powerful to get it off. So I walked over to the local power plant near me to try and zap it off. And I climbed up a power line and bit down on it when zap! I woke up and I checked my lip and the fingernail was gone. And I was so happy, so I grabbed my phone and a lightning bolt shocked me. And that's when I realized the power line had given me powers. And I was Mr. Electrodad. Okay, so I bought one of those things that lets you FaceTime your dog and shoot treats at them. But today I was looking at the camera and I noticed that she's been taking all her treats behind the couch for some reason. So I went to go see what she was doing with them, and she's been storing them so that she can pretend like I never gave her one in the first place, and then ask for more like the fat little bitch she is. And yes, I can call her that because bitch means female dog, and she is a female dog. Anyways, I had enough of her scamming me, so I decided to empty out the treat machine and fill it with her least favorite treat. Green beans, baby! I put a bean on the plate and cut it up into small little pieces, and then I loaded it into the machine, and I shot it out at her, and at first she didn't want to eat it, but then she got bored, and she ate them, and I was so happy because I thought I got her on a diet, until I heard a weird coughing noise come from downstairs. I ran downstairs to see what was happening, and that's when I saw her in my beanbag bed, next to the beans which she had thrown out. Now I got beans in my bed! I was picking the ticks out of my dog's fur so I could collect them and inject them with acid until they popped. But just before I could even get to doing that, my phone went off. And when I checked it, my friends had invited me to go rollerblading with them. So I dropped what I was doing and I met them at the roller derby rink. Now, I paid $10 to rent some skates, but listen, these babies were impossible to put on. And when I stood up, it felt like I had fettuccine noodles for legs. But it was actually really fun, except there was a small child who kept trying to chase me, and I'm allergic to small children, so I tried to avoid him at all costs. But then he got too close to me and I ran him over. And in the distance, I heard some lady who I think was his mom screaming at me about her little overgrown fetus.
So I left the roller rink and escaped into the mall, but I could still hear her screaming in the distance, so I started running. And then that's when I saw a security guard and told him that there was a psychopath chasing me. And thankfully, he snuck me out of the mall. And turns out she got arrested later for biting an employee. So...
I opened my window for the first time in weeks today to collect a bunch of my fly friends. But they were being very lazy, so I decided to harvest them and put them to work. For example, say I don't want to pay for my $21 breakfast burrito, I simply call my fly babies into battle and leave a body on the plate when I'm finished. Sometimes, for good measure, I'll even put one in the water. Then I call over the manager and tell him that there is not only a fly in my food, but I am gravely allergic to the fly. Then when the bill comes, I change the total to a negative and then they pay me back. Another great reason why you should always carry a bag of dead flies with you is for retail therapy. I want to treat my mom with some makeup, so I simply find a tester and drop a quick friend on it. Then I take it to the front counter and tell them that I could have put a fly in my mom's eye. Then they give it to me for free and I go about my day. But guess what? It even works at Olive Garden. After I'm seated, finally, I get my free breadsticks and I take one into the bathroom and sacrifice one of my babies for the cause. Then once the fly is on the breadstick, I exit the bathroom and walk over to the management and tell them that there is a fly on my breadstick. And boom, refund.
I like to collect mold off of my old moldy bread and put it in a baggie that I keep in my pocket, so whenever I'm out and about at an overpriced restaurant getting an overpriced $15 acai bowl, I can order one and then eat the whole thing, and then once I'm done, I take out my mold babies and pop one in so I can take it to the register and go full Karen mode and show them the mold, and then boom, baby! Refund. I've done this in the past with dead flies at Olive Garden, but I like having bread in my pocket instead of dead decaying flies. Anyways, I wanted to give my mom some makeup, so I tried it at Sephora by putting some mold in the makeup, and then I brought the sample to the manager, and I got a free one. And then I sanitized my hands to get the mold off, of course. Anyways, after Sephora, I really wanted some tortilla chips, so I grabbed a bag, opened it up, popped some mold in, and then boom! I took it to the cashier, and I got a refund, baby. And then when I got home, I took a bite and forgot to take the mold out. Boom, baby, mold poisoning. Today, I snuck an AirTag tracking device into an Ed Sheeran concert so that I could somehow stick it onto him to track him down, because that's for the FBI to know. Anyways, randomly BTS opened for him, and then Eddie was about to come on stage, so I had the genius idea to use an extra mask and fashion it into a slingshot so that when he performed, I walked up to the front of the stage, locked onto my target, and bam, it flew through the air. And now I know there's no way of it sticking to him. However, they have to pack up the stage, and it's probably gonna travel with him. So anyways, I saw Doja Cat and Lil Nas X, and then left the concert and went home. Then the next morning, I was getting a reading on the AirTag finder, and it said that he was in Las Vegas. So I flew to Las Vegas, and when I got to the airport, I thought I had already found him, but the thing is, I had a little bit of spicy grape juice on the plane, so I stumbled over to the man and shouted, Ed! And it was just a random man. So, yeah. Today I made a fake plane ticket with my DIY skills so I could go to the Tokyo Olympics, because I think I'm really good at gymnastics. But the problem is Japan is only letting actual Olympic athletes go there because of COVID. So I finessed the system by buying a random plane ticket to Alabama so I could get into the airport. So once I got to the airport, I found the flight that was headed to Tokyo. And then I walked over to the gate to sit down, and I crossed off Alabama on my ticket. And then I used it while they were boarding, and I managed to board the flight to Tokyo. And after I took my seat, I was just sitting there realizing I'm really going to Japan, huh? And then we took off, and I was enjoying the flight until I looked at the safety manual and saw that I was on one of those malfunctioning Boeing 737 MAX planes. You know, the ones that decide they want to be a car while in midair. And that's when I started feeling really bad turbulence. And then I remembered my phone wasn't on airplane mode. And then that's when it got really bad, because the plane started falling apart. And all of a sudden, the oxygen mask came down, and I just accepted that the last song I'll have ever listened to in my life was Ed Sheeran! Anyways, the crowd was getting closer and closer, and oh, I actually just fell asleep. Anyways, now I'm in Tokyo. My favorite thing to do right now is guess people's passwords of their social media accounts, because I've actually managed to successfully hack a few accounts. And I also enjoy changing some captions around without people noticing and tagging myself so people think me and Zendaya are besties. So today I managed to log into Shawn Mendes's account, and then I decided to DM some people some pickup lines like Olivia Rodrigo, which might have made me responsible for him and Camila Kabubu breaking up, but anyways, today I wanted to get into Instagram's Instagram account to, I don't know, post a picture of myself or something. And then I remember the guy who owns Instagram is Mark Zuckerberg. So when I tried logging in with a bunch of different passwords and none were working, I realized it kept asking me if I'm not a robot. And since old Marky Poo is a robot, I left it blank, and then boom, I was in, baby. And I was stressed about what I should post to like 400 million people, so I just chose this random picture of me at the beach, and now 500,000 people have liked it. So thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for the validation. I was enjoying some banana on the cob and scrolling through TikTok when I saw someone playing this Mario Kart in real life game. So I took my friend's credit card and ordered it, but when it came in the mail and I actually got to open it up and play
it. The game was about as fun as listening to Ed Sheeran out of your own free will. So not fun at all. But you know what? It was okay, because I bought it for the only purpose of seeing if I could take it through a drive-thru and ordering something. So I strapped my credit card to it and a walkie-talkie so that I can order through the microphone. And I taped it to Luigi really good and then drove all the way over to Popeyes. And it was time to release Luigi and see if I could successfully order a fry. I set everything up, and then just like that, the little Italian was off. But as he drove up to the microphone, I didn't think they could see him, so at first I did some donuts to get their attention. And then as I was spinning him around, they were like... And I was about to tell them my order when I saw there was a car coming into the drive-thru. I panicked and grabbed my Switch to try and drive away, but it said it was disconnected, so I ran over to the drive-thru, and our favorite plumber Luigi was killed by a Mitsubishi. Anyways, the funeral is on Monday. Please comment your condolences if you would like to attend. So I was completely legally watching a movie today when I won an iPhone 13. And all I had to do was enter my social security number, so I typed it in. And then a week later, while I was blending my candles together to make a mega candle, I got a notification that a package was delivered. So I ran downstairs to grab it, and the packaging was a little strange, but I cracked open the box, which apparently was for the iPhone 14. And then when I opened up that box, they had sent me a toy car. Then I realized it's actually a phone. So I decided to hang up on the 911 operator that I had panic called. And it was pretty cool until I realized it was a used phone. And I think the previous owner was someone's grandma, because I saw in her text she wasn't just having booty calls, but a whole booty conference. Now, I didn't want this phone anymore after going into the images and seeing Granny's Milkies, so I picked it up one last time and checked her contact section and noticed she had her address on there. So I grabbed the phone and biked over to her house, which happened to be only an hour away. And when I got there, Granny is on her Jeff Bezos type beat. So I decided to put my name in her contacts, and then I threw the phone over the fence, and I'll let you know if I slide. I woke up today and decided to go to Claire's to get my ear pierced because I saw they're doing it free if you give them your organs. So I walked in and I picked my piercing and then signed away the rights to my kidneys. And then they marked the ear that I wanted pierced, and then boom, they legally stabbed me. But anyways, I went home and I was so excited to take off my mask and see it, and they had pierced the mask string into my ear hole! And I started freaking out, of course, and needed to get it off. So I tried finding pliers or something, but I grabbed scissors and used them to cut the mask off so it doesn't rip my ear off. And then I looked in the mirror and I thought maybe it looks cool, but it didn't. So I grabbed my computer to try and find the Claire's customer service line so I can sue them. But they closed at 6 p.m. and it was 6:30. So I went to bed and cried myself to sleep. And when I woke up, oh, it was infected. So now I think my ear is gonna fall off in 2 to 5 business days. So please let me know what music I should listen to before I have one ear left. I woke up at 4 a.m. to borrow some of my roommate's peanut butter today, but when I opened it up, I saw he's been scooping it out the jar in a really strange way, which is really inefficient because there's just more surface area for it to dry out. But anyways, I wanted to make a peanut butter and spray cheese sandwich, but I felt like it needed some raspberries, so as I was taking the bread out of the fridge, I knocked out the raspberries. But I believe in the 5-minute rule instead of the 5-second rule, so I scooped them up and assembled my delicious sandwich, and I added the raspberries and a nice little squirt of easy cheese, and then I took a big old bite, but I started feeling really funny, and I thought I was having an allergic reaction to the peanut butter. But then I remembered the raspberries were not exactly the freshest, and I just ate an ounce of bull. So I grabbed my computer and tried to call poison control, but they were closed because of Thanksgiving. And I was like, damn, I'm really gonna puke my guts out because some white dudes wanted to have a feast after a mass genocide in 1621. So anyways, I decided I should probably write my will. And I opened up my notes app and said all my money in my plant collection and my life-size Zendaya cardboard cutout will go to my dog. Thank you and goodbye forever, I guess. Last night I went to Chuck E. Cheese to lie and say it's my birthday to get free pizza. And it worked, baby. But the place was terrifying and the food was even scarier. And after a few bites, I started feeling sick, like I had worms in my stomach. So I got up and I stumbled out of the restaurant and I went home. Then the next day, I scheduled an emergency Zoom doctor's visit and he told me that I'm lactose intolerant. And I was like, what the hell? I don't lactose. I got all 10, baby. But then he told me to put my feet away and I was like, you're right. You should be paying me for this, not the other way around, buddy. And then he started telling me you can't eat pizza anymore. But his video started to cut out, but it's okay because I know what lactose intolerance is. I can't have bread anymore. So I got rid of all my bread and dumped all of that fart food right in the trash. And then I grabbed some milk and chugged nothing but pure milk for a few days. And you know what? It was really good for a bit until I started feeling a storm brewing 10 times stronger than what Chuck E. Cheese did to me. So I immediately ran to the bathroom and... So apparently lactose intolerance is the milk one, but at least I don't lactose, baby. I was drinking a vanilla bean frappuccino for the 4th time today because I found out you can get anything free from Starbucks if you make 365 different fake IDs with different birthdays for every day of the year. So each day I go to a different Starbucks and show them my ID and tell them it's my birthday. And they give me a free treat that would usually cost 4 kidneys. But sometimes when I pull up, they tell me they don't do free birthday drinks. But they don't know I know this trick. I actually go dumpster diving after hours, where they throw away all the garbage and Starbucks employees that want to form a union. And there's usually 1 or 2 uniforms in there, so I got this one, which had just a little blood stain. So whenever they deny me a birthday drink, I simply rip my jacket off and show them my employee uniform, and then they just let me go make whatever I want for myself for free. And it almost always works, but when it doesn't, and they say, we've literally never seen you at this location before, why do you have blood on your uniforms? I stay calm because I remember they don't know I know this trick. I put on a little mask and say, okay, this is a fucking robbery!
Today I made a DIY North Korean driver's license by taking a picture with my iPad, and then I googled North Korean IDs and slapped my face on it. And I made it look all pretty by crossing this guy's name off and giving myself a fake name. But I didn't do this so I can get into a club or anything. I did it so that every day I can print a new one and change my birthday to today's date so I can get free stuff every single day, like a Starbucks drink, or make people be nice to me. Anyways, I first tested my ID at Olive Garden, and the waiter got the whole restaurant singing happy birthday to me. But more importantly, I got a big old cannoli for free, baby. Anyways, next I went to Cheesecake Factory, and I showed my waitress my ID, thinking she would give me, I don't know, a cheesecake slice at Cheesecake Factory. But when she came to the table, she had all these cheesecake slices, and what did she give me? A bowl of berries. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But then she dropped the bill off and charged me $8 for the strawberries, when all I wanted was a slice of cheesecake for free because they're like $10. So basically fake North Korean IDs don't work at Cheesecake Factory. Today I pretended to be in the hospital to get my celebrity crush to notice me. And here's how I did it. First I was editing my name onto a hospital band, and one of the rows said sex. So I said yes, wiki face. And then I walked over to my printer that I haven't used in years, and I thought it was gonna light on fire, and somehow that old mama worked and it printed out my band. So I cut it out and put it on my wrist.
Drip, my drip, yeah.
And then I tore my bed apart and I ripped the bed sheet off my bed to wear as a little hospital robe. Then once I had that, I pulled my bed off and dragged it over to a blank wall. Anyways, then I made my room look like a hospital by taping hospital signage. And then I laid down in my hospital bed and I made the finishing touches with a phone charger, and then I put some headphones in my nose to really pull it all together. Then I finally took my Snapchat and I added a black and white filter to be all dramatic. And I made the caption, "Down bad, wish I had a big booty bee to give me CPR." And I sent it to her. Then I ripped all the cords out and the bracelet too, and I put my shirt back on. And I was waiting around when she finally replied. And when I opened it, she said, "Today I woke up and decided it's a good day to buy a hamster." My friend and I zoomed over to the hamster store and we looked at them and they were so cute. And we realized we need a hamster house and some hamster food, so we loaded up a cart and got a bunch of toys and bedding. Then it was time to pick a hamster, so we got an employee to open up the box, and my friend picked a little one, and then it bit her. And like, not like a tiny bite, like this hamster got like a whole vein, and there was this family watching horror as my friend lost blood. Anyways, that hamster was canceled and we grabbed a different one, and the employee put her in a different box, but we were about to go in the car and we were like, this box sucks, so we put her in her own little transport orb. Then we got home and put together her little hamster house with a little carrot, and we took her out the hamster ball, and she was exploring and vibing, and she still doesn't have a name, so if you have any ideas, please let me know. Today was my first day working at Starbucks, and I was making a garbage water frappuccino, until I realized this isn't a Starbucks, everything is fake. I'm in a fake Starbucks in IKEA. I ran as fast as I could to escape the fake Starbucks, and when I finally got out, I realized I still don't have a job. How am I gonna get enough money to buy a Shrek cardboard cutout? So I made a resume, even though I have 0 qualifications. I got in my car and drove to the haircut store, but they wouldn't hire me because they saw me give myself a bad quarantine haircut. So then I drove over to the grocery store, and then I was looking for the manager until some dude coughed in my face. I wiped the diseases off my face and then ran to my car to apply hand sanitizer. But I didn't realize I had a cut on my finger. It burned so bad that I passed out, but I was still driving my car and it rolled off by itself. When I woke up, I had no clue where I was. And my car was out of gas. I got out and realized I was in the middle of nowhere, but then I remembered I can just check my GPS, and how did I end up in North Korea? I was at Staples because I needed some staples so I could staple a staple into my staple box so staples wouldn't fall out anymore. But Staples was sold out of all the staples, and I asked the Staples employee named April if they had any more staples, and she said that I could order some more staples from Naples. But this Staples had no staples, so I was gonna leave with no staples, but my phone was dying, so I needed a cable. So I walked past April and went to the cables, but the cables were too much, so I just bought a bagel. And now I'm at home at my table with my bagels and no staples or cables because April from Staples wanted me to choke, and as I bit my bagel, it had mold and the bagel was fatal, and I fell off the table, and my last thoughts were of my lover named Mabel when we would sit by the stables and pour Mabel all over our bagels. And as I took my last breath on the floor, I saw a staple. I was eating some raw chicken sushi when out of the corner of my eye, I saw a furry and then another furry. So I got up to see what was going on and followed them, and then there was 10 furries and 20 furries and hundreds of furries, and I realized there was a whole furry convention at the mall I was at. But then I remembered I just didn't pay at the restaurant, and I heard them say on the intercom,
To the man in the grey sweater, the police would like a word with you.
and I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to get out of here. But these furries were everywhere. And I tried to sneak into this dark warehouse, but there was a rave going on inside, so I found a door
door to the outside, but it was raining and had no exit and no hope. Until I saw someone's left behind fursuit on the ground with some stains in it. But I had no other way to escape, so I put it on to try and blend in and re-enter the mall and saw so many horrifying things and still couldn't find the exit and was getting actual heat stroke, so I decided to just turn myself in. So I went up to a cop and said, I'd like to turn myself in, and it was a damn Zootopia cop! So I just bolted out of that lawless wasteland and jumped over furries to find a fire exit and made it out and stripped down and threw my suit in the river! I was cleaning my room today when I found out I'm about to hit 5 million subscribers. And to celebrate, I wanted to give each and every one of you $1. Now, I don't have $5 million, but you know who does? The bank. So I went over there and had the idea to R to the O to the B it, but quickly realized that I get too anxious simply going to Starbucks and ordering for myself without nearly peeing my pants. So walking into a bank to commit a crime is kind of out of the question. So my second idea was to make an Ed Sheeran disguise that is so convincing it looks like a deep fake. So I taped it to my face and I used this simple hack that works on any ATM machines where you can type in the number of the address where the ATM is, like 900 for example, and then it'll think it's undergoing maintenance and spit out all its cash. So I tried it and boom, I suddenly had $20,000. When I remembered they have security cameras, and even though I was disguised as Ed Sheeran, I wanted to be safe, so I gently disconnected the camera from the ATM and put it on the ground. And for the rest of the night, I'd never felt more alive. I was calculated, unstoppable, and I did it all right under the police's noses. Oh wait, just kidding. They actually got me. I was walking around at 3 a.m. in a frog costume so I could feel alive again when I saw a praying mantis on the ground. And I thought those were only in Kung Fu Panda, so I decided to grab a bowl and capture it. After I caught it, I transferred it from the bowl into a bag that I had, and I brought him inside. Apparently, they only eat live insects, and there happened to be a fly on my counter, so I went, and I knocked him out and grabbed that wench by the ankle and threw him in the bag. And then I found a cockroach, and I was about to feed it to him when I dropped it on my phone! Anyways, he ate it, but the bag was still too small, so I went to Petco and got a whole enclosure, and I wanted live crickets, but they were out. So I Ubered home and I put it together, and I was about to transfer him when I realized I forgot to zip it up and he escaped! I looked everywhere for him. I looked under my covers, I looked in the bathroom, when I looked at Monty and... Monty, what are you... I was putting my clothes in the dishwasher today because I broke my washing machine when I tried washing dishes in it last week because my dishwasher was broken in the first place. But anyways, I was in the kitchen and heard a snowball hit my window, and when I looked out the window, my elderly neighbor Myrtle had put up a sign that said, check your mail. Now, as threatening as that seemed, I was so excited because her son owns the website where you watch Corn with a P. And in the past, she's given me like $1,000 at Christmas and a cute little picture of herself. So I went to the door and grabbed the card, and when I opened it, I noticed that this time there was no gift, which is fine and all, but also the picture she had sent me had some man's hand in the corner, and on the card there was weird capitalization, so I highlighted the capital letters and it spelled help me, and I started freaking out. So I drove over to her house, which was 50 feet away. Sorry, Greta Thunberg. And I was gonna save her from being choked, but when I got there was a van outside that said 50 Shades of Play, and I think that's what Myrtle's into. So now I'm traumatized. I squeezed a whole bottle of lotion on my hands because they were as dry as my cat's ashes. And also, I wanted my hands to be soft for the date that I was going on today. I was late, so I ran upstairs, turned on the security system, and I was about to head out the door when I couldn't turn the knob. My hands were so lusciously moist from the moisturizer, they were just slipping and sliding off the knob. And I started freaking out because my security alarm would call the authorities if I didn't get out in 30 seconds. So I tried drying them off by rubbing them on my pants, but they still didn't have any grip. So I tried putting them in rice, and they were still too slippery. And then I looked at the security system, and I just 3 seconds left, so I fell to the ground crying, not knowing what to do. Until I remembered the driest thing in my house. My cat's ashes. I grabbed the urn and covered my hands in the dust, and I headed for the doorknob, and luckily it worked. I turned it, opened it, and...
Yo.
So my dad loves mangoes, so for Christmas, I got him a single mango from Walmart as his Christmas present. But I couldn't just wrap it because it would be obvious that I got him a mango like everyone else does for Christmas. So I grabbed my wrapping paper and I wrapped it as something completely different, then I put it under the tree. But a few weeks had passed and it started to smell really bad, and when I checked it, the mango had molded. So I had to throw the whole freaking present out and wrap a brand new mango. But I had run out of wrapping paper, so I got in my car and I drove back to Walmart and I found a tube of basic wrapping paper. And then I pretended it was a sword and I was swinging it around, but I accidentally killed a minion. Anyways, then I was bored in line, so I screamed into it like a horn and I said, Arby's, we have the meats. Anyways, I got home and I cut up the mango. I grabbed a random DVD case and I put all the mango slices in it, but my dad's cat tried eating it. Ugh. And then I wrapped the Lego Star Wars for Xbox 360 disc case and put it under the tree. And when I woke up this morning on Christmas, I gave it to him. What? day I accidentally burned out my house because I was boiling Listerine and Red Bull to make delicious tea when I saw a wasp had waltzed into my house. And I'm extremely allergic, so I grabbed a container to try and capture him so I could send him back to hell. And I got him, but then I realized if I try and get the lid on, he's gonna fly out and sting me, and then I will end up in hell and he will haunt me forever. So I dropped it and I ran and grabbed a piece of paper, and then I put it back on and slid it under, and I actually managed to pull out the paper, and I had successfully abducted him. So I put him on a plate and microwaved him until he lit up. Just kidding. I realized I'll definitely go to hell if I do that, so I let him outside and carefully put him down and released the hatches, and he kicked it away. So then he got up and chased me inside, and I closed the door and I thought I was safe, and oh, I forgot to turn the stove burner off, and